Okay, so I'll go to the full meeting. So thank you everyone for attending this meeting to discuss NPA 2024-0015.01. If you haven't done so already, please let us know who is here in the chat box. Please mute your microphone if you're joining by phone and turn off your video if you're participating online to save the bandwidth. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the publicinput.com/neighborhood plan amendment cases website. If you do not want your image viewed publicly, please turn off your camera. So Mark Walters is going to be the meeting facilitator tonight. My name is Maureen Meredith. I am the plan amendment case manager, and Jonathan Tomko is the zoning case manager, and this is our contact information. The agenda tonight, I'll go over basic case information, guidelines or group discussion, how to participate in this process, why is there a plan amendment application, what is a future land use map, also called a FLUM. After I do a brief presentation, the applicant's agent, Nikhil Mead, will do a presentation, then we will go into the Q&A of the meeting. So plan amendment case information, the property addresses are 1145.5 Gunter Street, 3605 Abbott Circle, and 1144 Wainery Drive. It is 2.7462 acres. The plan amendment case number is NPA 2024-0015.01. Project name is Gunter Rezoning. The FLUM request is to change the future land use map from single family to multifamily residential land use. The zoning case information, zoning case number is C14-2024-0109. The request is to change the zoning from SF3NP, which is Family Residence District Neighborhood Plan, to Multifamily 3NP, which is Multifamily Residence Medium Density District Neighborhood Plan. Property owner applicants are RCG Gunter LLC and Real Holdings LLC. The agent is Nikhil Mead from Hush Blackwell. So guidelines for group discussion, please feel free to type your questions into the chat at any time during this meeting. If you could please postpone your general comments into the Q&A session of the meeting. After staff and applicant presentations, if you would like to speak, you can raise your hand by clicking on the hand symbol on the menu bar. And if we get any telephone participants, they will be able to speak during the Q&A session of the meeting, and we will call out the last 4 digits of your phone number. Attendees will be muted upon arrival and through our applicant and staff presentations. Then we will open the meeting to answer any questions in the chat or by attendees raising your hands to speak. Please mute your microphone when you're not speaking for the sake of sound quality and clarity of conversation. And if you're having connection issues, turn off your video until you are called upon to ask your questions. And we ask that you be respectful to each other during the meeting. As mentioned earlier, the meeting is being recorded, and tomorrow morning I will post it to the publicinput.com/neighborhood plan amendment cases website. You can email me or Jonathan with any questions or comments that you have. If you provide written comments, we can include them in the staff case report. When the cases are scheduled for Planning Commission and City Council, if you live within 500 feet of the property, you will get a notice in the mail, and it will have the date, time, and locations of the meeting and have instructions on how to participate in the public hearings. So why is there a plan amendment application? So neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. City Charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Most neighborhood plan amendments are amendments to a plan's future land use map, and most neighborhood plan amendments have an associated zoning application. This map shows the areas of the city that have City Council approved neighborhood plans. Those are shown in blue. All the planning areas have a plan document that have the vision and goals of the planning area, and most of which also have a future land use map, and that's what's being proposed to be changed tonight with the plan amendment application. The current land use on the property is single family, which is shown in yellow, and the proposed is multifamily residential, which is orange. And this is a sort of a zoomed in of the property. To the left, you see Gunter Street. And you can see to the left Gunter Street, you have Springdale further to the right. The yellow.
Hey, they're talking about it. It's happening.
We can wait a few minutes if you want to settle in, the new person. Okay, so this is the future land use map. You can see the property in yellow is a single family land use. To the right of the screen, you see the orange, that is the multifamily land use. This map shows the zoning with the aerial property underneath. And again, it is zoned SF3NP to the right. In the orange and black stripe, you see the MF3NP, which is the multifamily 3 zoning. This is just a screenshot from Google Maps that shows property, just in general. And this is the Imagine Austin Growth Concept Map. And these colors represent regional centers, town centers, neighborhood centers, and activity corridors. So this map shows the property in relation to those activity centers and corridors. So the activity corridors are shown with the white lines and the brown on the outline. And the Springdale Station is the neighborhood center, activity center. So you see the property is just north of that and in between 2 activity corridors. So this is the map that shows the property in proximity to public transportation. Again, you can see transportation along Springdale Road to the east, Airport Boulevard to the west, and Springdale Drive to the north. So that ends my presentation, and stop sharing my screen, and Nikhil can start hers.
Hi, Maureen. This is Taylor Herpin. I'm going to be presenting today on behalf of the applicant.
Okay. Nikhil, you're muted.
I'm talking away. I have to leave halfway. You think I have this down by now? I have to leave partway through the presentation. So Mackenzie, Spike, and Taylor Herpin from my office will present.
Can you let me know when you can see my presentation?
We can see it.
Okay, great. All right, I'm Taylor Herpin. I'm with Hush Blackwell. We're the agent and for the applicant. As Maureen said, we are requesting an amendment to the future land use map for the property that's located at 1145 and a half Gunter Street, 3605 Abbott Circle, and 1144 Wainwright Drive. The property is zoned for single family use, and we would like to amend the FLUM to allow for multifamily use. This request is made in connection with a proposed development of 47 townhouse units, which I will show you a little bit later, a map, but just to give you an idea, most of the units are located at the 1145 and a half Gunter Street address. Here's the current zoning of the property and the surrounding area. As you can see, we're zoned SF3 NP. The property abuts at the rear of the property to another MF3 NP site, and that is the zoning that we're requesting in connection with this neighborhood plan amendment as well. To the west, there's some commercial mixed-use property, as well as to the south, all along Gunter Street and Airport Boulevard to the southwest. The property consists of 3 tracts that total 2.7 acres, and it's surrounded by some single family. There are some duplexes across the street. To the back, as I said, there's some multifamily currently that's, um, I believe, apartment complexes. And then to the south, there's commercial zoning, which um is a mixed use zone that houses some residential, mixed use, multifamily residential. The applicant is seeking this amendment to the FLUM to develop 47 townhome units on the property. The units are mostly 3 bedrooms and 2.5 to 3 bathrooms, with some of the units, 7 of the units being 2 bedrooms plus office. And all of the units that are directly adjacent to Gunter Street are facing towards Gunter Street, which really um, makes for a good blend and connection to sort of the surrounding single family homes. It presents as a ordinary single family or like a clearly residential use. Uh, Here's the site plan showing the proposed development. It's a little bit hard to see, but on the left here is Gunter Street. To the north is a Bot Circle, and then um, also to the north, to the northeast is where Rainbow Drive connects to the property. Currently, the applicant is only seeking to develop 2 of the 3 tracks that are involved in this zoning change request and flume amendment. The neighborhood plan currently provides a lot of multifamily and mixed use in the surrounding areas. And the neighborhood plan, goal of the neighborhood plan is to increase residential housing in the central core so that there's more density to allow a seamless blend of commercial and single family, multifamily residential uses, um, particularly to make an environment that's walkable to local business. Here we have direct access to Gunter Street, and we're in very close proximity to Airport Boulevard and also Oak Springs. The applicant's proposed project will add some diversity in the housing options that are available in the neighborhood. There's not a lot of townhomes in this area. You'll see a few duplexes surrounding and then apartment complexes as well as single family, but this will add an alternative option for housing in the area. It promotes balanced community, adding residential units in close proximity to commercial businesses and recreational areas. There is a park located close by to the northeast across Oak Springs Drive. And the applicants intend for the development to blend well with the surrounding single family duplexes and other multifamily sites in the area. And it adds more units to Austin Central Core, which is one of the main goals of the neighborhood plan as it is. Last year, the applicants submitted a site plan after purchasing the property. When the applicants purchased the property, the the city's zoning map on the property profile had designated this property for multifamily 3, and they started to plan this site with the understanding that this was multifamily zone for multifamily. During that process of submitting the site plan, we realized that there was a discrepancy in that zoning map and found out that the property was actually zoned SF3. So we're seeking to rezone the property to multifamily 3 and to change the FLUM to correspond with that zoning so that the applicants can proceed with their original site plan, which you saw a little earlier in the presentation. And here's an example of the property profile. This was a screenshot taken in February of 2024, showing what the zoning designation on there was at the time that the applicants purchased the property and started planning this development. So again, just to reiterate, we're requesting to amend the neighborhood plan and the FLUM to allow for this multifamily project to proceed.
So is that the end of your presentation, Taylor?
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, well, thank you, Taylor, for that. And now we can start the question and answers portion of tonight's meeting. So if you have any questions, you can either raise your hand or type the question in the chat. Either which way works. So if, okay, we have a from Jesse Garcia is asking in the chat, how tall will these townhouses be?
So there's a mix of 2-story and 3-story townhomes currently proposed.
Okay. How many parking spaces will there be?
There's going to be
As well,
29 parking spots that are on the exterior, and then some of the townhomes have garage parking, and there will be the total parking provided 78 parking spaces, and there's also going to be some bike parking.
Okay, and there was a question, you mentioned it during the presentation, but how many units will there be again?
47.
There'll be 78 parking spaces for 47 units.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good. Have another person to see them typing in the chat as well, folks. If you want to type the chat or ask your question the old-fashioned way by saying it, question, you're free to do both. So while we're waiting, let's see. So yeah, it'll be like multi-storied, Jesse. That'll be multi-storied buildings. And Elizabeth, if you would unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And should I address it to Taylor? Are you taking the Q&A portion?
I'm just, facilitating the conversation. And if there's a technical question, I might be able to help, but I would direct it to the property owner's representative.
Beautiful. And can you hear me, Taylor, or can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes,
Beautiful.
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Great, thank you. So I understand. So if we've got 47 units, if we assume that each of those have, let's just go ahead and assume, since they're multi-bedroom, that these will be multiple person households. Even if we assume 1.5 additional cars, that's 70 additional cars. But if it's 2 cars per household, that's 94 cars. Gunter Street is not a two-way street. Oftentimes there's cars parked on both sides, and there's only one direction in which you can make a right and left-hand turn. The other direction is only a right-hand turn onto Airport. So can you help me understand how you evaluated this parking situation and what the impact to the community is going to be in terms of the traffic and the parking that we're likely going to experience both on Gunter and on Abate Circle?
That's a great question. So each of the units, other than 7 of the units, all have their own covered parking that's going to be like garage style parking at the bottom floor of the unit. Then we're anticipating that there will be other parking within the actual complex, sort of like parallel spots near some of the units that do not have designated parking. But there is also going to be additional spots that are guest spots. So I don't think the total parking, I think I may have misspoke, but the total parking spaces that will be provided is 118, which is for this number of units in this mix, the required number of spaces is 117 and a half spaces. So we do meet the requirements under the code.
Well, just a little note there. Council, either this year or late last year, removed the parking requirement. So actually it's under what the previous code before that amendment is. The previous parking schedule is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. That's really helpful and somewhat good to hear. I still certainly have concerns since it takes care of the residents, but likely not many guests. But can you tell me a little bit more about your anticipated impact on particularly the traffic on Gunter? I'm really what I'm concerned about, as it's a residential neighborhood. We do have kids often playing in the street. There's not sidewalks along both sides of the street all the way through. And I would assume that that would be a concern.
Yes, of course. We're currently in the process of working with the city on a traffic analysis, and we will know a little bit more about the impacts of the traffic once that is complete. That's still in process. But we fully intend to work with the city to mitigate those traffic impacts after we are able to sit down with the analysis and figure out a way to limit the impact.
Any idea when that will be completed and reported to the city? I would hope it's before a final decision is made. I'm sorry, Tyler, I promise it's my last question for now.
It will be before a final decision is made, yes.
Yeah, it's a neighborhood traffic analysis. Is that what the process you're going through?
Yes, that's correct.
And then the city actually conducts that with the
Right.
information provided by the applicant. We're going back into the chat a little bit. Jesse Garcia was questioning about, he's concerned with buildings looming over their homes. And I can't see, I'm on a laptop, but Abatar Circle, the properties, your project abutting those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so properties, how tall will they be abutting that roadway? I assume that's what Jesse is talking about.
So
Hey, Jesse here, if you can hear me. Yeah,
yes, we can.
We're at 3603. I was just curious, what, you're kind of already answering how tall they're going to be. So I was more concerned, just some great questions here, by the way, especially with like the traffic stuff, but I was wondering about like uh, the fence, as you develop next to a property, a house, are you all gonna pay for the fence? How high is the fence gonna be? How might that go down? And yeah, I was wondering how high they are, but I think you said there were might be 2 or 3 stories high. So that was just that. I was just making a comment about looming. And how high would those fences be? Maybe, I know there's codes out there, 6, 8 feet, and that's all I got for now.
It needs to be a 6-foot tall masonry or solid wood fence.
All right,
I
well,
think
that's
that is
for them to worry about, but I mean, I hope they get, I think when it's like an apartment, I think it has to be like 8 feet, or it can be, but I hope they do 8 feet, honestly, but
I
anyway.
think it's a minimum of 6 feet. I'm not sure it's up to 8 feet, but it has to be a solid fence.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I like that part, just for privacy,
Yeah, and I
Okay.
believe the units, Jesse, that are near near closest to Abate Circle are the 2-story units.
Okay.
The wider ones are 2-story.
Okay. And then there's this large gray area kind of in the middle left of it. What is that? Is that like just an open parking lot, or is that a parking structure, like a multi-level, or what is that? And that's my last question, I promise.
That is open space.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Hey, Jesse, thank you for your questions. Nicole has her hand raised, so if you would unmute and ask your question, and after that, I'll be going to Miranda Louisa Waldron Curry. You're next up after Nicole. Nicole?
Hi, yeah, so I live on a Bate Circle, and part of the reason why I bought this house 13 years ago was because it was on a cul-de-sac. And my understanding is that if this rezoning and this project gets approved, that I will no longer live on a cul-de-sac, that part of the dead end will be turned into an entrance and an exit for the condo complex. Is that correct?
No, that is not intended to be an entry the into the multifamily development. It might be hard for you to see on this presentation, but there's going to be a fence that goes along the edge of Wainroy, at the end of Wainroy. So that access is only going to be used in emergency, or if there's ever a desire to connect and make this public.
I don't know if I can trust that, because but you're going to make a road and there's going to be a gate with access, but the claim is that it won't be used. But you're going to spend money to make the road.
I think it's a code requirement to have a fire or emergency access other than the primary access.
Right. So it's only going to be used for like fire access.
Okay. I have been to lots of condo apartments that those stay open, but it is part of the reason why I bought. And so I get it with the code, but I think it goes back to like, this is too dense and these are too many people for our little cul-de-sac and our little roads. That's all I have to say. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Miranda, would you unmute and ask your question? And then I'll go and see if the person on the phone whose phone number is ending as 4519 has any questions. But first, let's hear from Miranda.
Yeah. Could you explain exactly what features of the development are not allowed under the current zoning restrictions and why those features are necessary?
I'm not exactly sure if I understood your question.
So what about this would not be allowed under current zoning restrictions? Because we have duplexes on the street, we have properties with 4 units on them, we have a small apartment complex built. So what here exactly is not allowed under current
Okay.
zoning?
So currently we're zoned single family, as you know. And there's this property is a very odd shape where the development would be severely limited in the number of units we could put here because of the access to Gunter. It only it only is adjacent to a small portion of the lot. The lot is very long and not wide, so we don't have a lot of street frontage. So we're very limited in what we can do as far as single family zoning. And although the lot is too big and very irregularly shaped for single family, it's also too small to try to subdivide and create some sort of single family community, which would also add similar density anyway. So this makes the most sense for this shape of lot and this size of property.
Okay, but one of the primary concerns being heard here is the quantity of traffic going on to, like you said, a singular street with the very limited frontage. So you've got all 47 of these units, which is 100, 120 people coming in and out of a singular entrance on a small residential street.
Right. And that is why we're doing the neighborhood traffic analysis as part of the city's requirements for the neighborhood plan amendment. And we will know more on the traffic once that is completed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Then with this the person whose phone number ends in 4519, do you have a question for Taylor?
I don't have a question. I would add concerns about parking. First of all, my name is Maggie. Hello, everybody. I live in Abate Circle as well. Tyler, are you the person in charge of the parking assessment that you're doing, or is that somebody on your team, or like who is doing that part of the project?
We're all working on it, but really it's something that the city's putting together. We've given the city that information and they're looking at their engineers are looking at it right now.
Okay. Have you been to that area personally?
I've driven past it.
Okay. I would suggest spending some time in that area because, as several people on this call have pointed out, especially Gunter has a lot of traffic on it, a lot of people parking on either side of that area, and it's pretty like congested as is. And something that you notice when you're in that neighborhood is that it actually causes quite a lot of neighborhood conflict for that road to be as clogged as it already is. And so something that is critical to me in this area is keeping the peace with the neighbors and being friendly with my neighbors. So I would really be looking forward to the results of that assessment.
And from the chat, Jesse Garcia says, yeah, he agrees that traffic is an issue as well. So does anybody else have any questions for raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat. Either way works.
I had, okay, this is Jesse again. Did anybody here that has houses here on Abate, did they have a survey team show up? And yeah, they're surveying the property line between the proposed development property and your house, but they also then proceeded to start surveying my property, which they put a hole at the end of my driveway, which I did not appreciate. But it's an old asphalt driveway, whatever, but I'll fix it. But yeah, I was just curious why I don't know if that's just because Abate runs through there, or why the survey team would go beyond just the bordering property line. I thought that was odd.
I'm not sure. I wasn't involved in that process, and I apologize for them if that had happened.
Yeah,
Where is your property?
I'm at 3603 Abate Circle, and they were starting to they just start surveying the bordering property line with the development, but then they didn't tell me. They just started walking all over my property, so that was nice. And then they weren't mean, or they were courteous when I went out to talk to them, but when they left, there was a hole at the end of my driveway.
Hi, Jesse. This is Nicole Mead. Was that recent?
That was about, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, maybe. Time has been ever since COVID.
It was a little less than that. And Nicole, I'm Jesse's across the street neighbor. I remember that day and thinking that it was very awkward that there were people walking into our yards, which if you know the neighborhood. And they also put up their studies, throughout Abate. I went out and talked to someone because yes, there was also a very tall, not just obnoxious, but intrusively uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was kind of brusque a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
Tall dude. I remember that.
Yeah, I actually don't know that we've done any recent surveying, but I'm going to hunt that down. And Jesse, if our surveyors screwed up your driveway, we are going to fix that. We are not going to let you fix that. So I will figure out what was going on with that, and I'll get a message to Maureen and Mark so they can get it out to everybody. I apologize for that too. It does not sound correct to me.
Yeah. I understand third-party risk. You got things going on, but you can't speak for everybody in the chain of things. But that was just weird. And I was like, I need to understand what was going on.
It might have been someone doing some utility surveying as well, independent of the project. But Nicole said she's looking.
Good point.
Yeah, I'll look into that and get some information to Mark and Mark.
But it was they were property line focused. But anyway, that was my another thing.
One other quick question: did anybody happen to see if they had a company name on any of their vehicles?
I did. It was.
No worries if not. I just wanted
white pickup with some lettering on it. No, I have to see if my Nest, maybe my Nest resolution's a little fuzzy there, Nest camera, but maybe I can pick something up.
Yeah, if you get that, that's helpful. I mean, I'm going to ask our surveyor, which was somebody that Civilitude sent.
It was this kind of a tall white dude and a kind of a short Hispanic man. I mean, they were generally polite. He was a little like, it comes up easy. Like, I just used the spoon. And I was like, dude, you put a hole in my driveway.
Yeah, our guys, I don't think that they should be surveying at the corner of Bot and Gunter. That's pretty far off of this site.
Yeah, it was in front of my driveway at 3603 Abate. So it was into Abate a little bit. Okay. I don't know, and into my property line with the development. That's why I thought, well, must have something to do with the development, because they did the property line on that side. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of it. Sorry about that.
No, thanks, Jesse. In the chat, we have a question from Adam Lavette. It says, so to be clear, your client purchased these lots without performing due diligence, spent time, money designing to MF3, and upon realizing it was actually SF3, are now asking for a zoning change to support their investment under the guise of supporting the future land use map.
I'm not sure if that's a question or a position statement. But
sure, that's a question.
So I think they did perform due diligence. It's unfortunate that there wasn't any deeper digging, but Even once the site plan was originally submitted, it took several rounds of comments before the city even realized that the zoning was actually SF3 and that the maps were just wrong. So it wasn't like it wasn't like the applicant submitted their application and the city was able to say like, oh, you got this wrong. It was enough of a discrepancy in the map for someone to miss it. It wasn't like there was no due diligence done before purchasing this property.
Sure, but instead of, I guess, the neighborhood needing multifamily density, this is kind of being presented as multifamily density was designed for these lots, and that we need to now accept it, which I take issue with. I think, this was SF3. It can be designed as single family. You could do flag lots, you could subdivide it. However, I think it is more profitable to present something at this level of density.
And I think the city does need density, especially in this area, because there's sort of a lack of this style of residents in the area. It's not only that they planned this, but they planned it for a reason because this was a good area for this type of product, and it benefits the applicants, but also it benefits the residents and the future of the city.
So why not take other single family lots or other lots that are zoned for multifamily, and work on those? Why did they choose this one, as you say?
I don't know specifically why they chose this one, but this is the one that they chose, and this is a project that works really well for this area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's another from Elizabeth in the chat. I might have missed this, but do we have a date of the traffic study being published? And will we have, as the neighborhood, and will we as the neighborhood have access to the results of the study? I think Taylor said it's pending. Do you have the transportation reviewers give you an ETA on that?
I don't have a date.
I think this is Nicole again. Yes, I'm still here. I think it's pretty close to being finalized. We had to redo some of the counts because they were not taken in the right sequence. I think our consultant took them 2 days in a row. The city needed them to be 3 consecutive days, so we had to redo those. Just redid them about 3 weeks ago. And so I'm anticipating that traffic analysis will be finished probably in the next week to 2 weeks.
Thank you, Nicole. From Nicole, do you have an image versus a rendering of what these might look like versus just the site plan?
We don't right now. When we found out, or when the applicants found out that the zoning needed to be changed in the site plan process, they hit a pause a little bit in that process. So we don't have any color renderings or anything like that at this time.
Okay. And Miranda's been patiently waiting with her virtual hand up. So Miranda, would you unmute and ask your question, please?
Yeah, I'm curious, since you missed some things about the property, are you aware of the buildings on the property that have asbestos siding, and do you have plans for proper abatement?
I am not involved in that process, but I am sure that the applicants are prepared to follow code and proper procedure to abate any asbestos during the demolition.
Okay.
Uh,
Are you aware of the current legal proceedings that are in motion related to already existing code violations on the property?
No, are you speaking of buildings on which property are you talking about?
At 1145 and a half. There's already 3 code violations sitting on the door, and it's in the process of being taken to court, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. We will look into that and inform our
So
clients if they are not aware.
yeah, so don't have a lot of faith that you will be up to code with asbestos violations, since you already are not, and the project hasn't even started.
Although this isn't a Kelligan, I will say we didn't build any of those buildings. We inherited them. And so, you know, many times when somebody buys a property, and clearly this property hasn't been well taken care of necessarily, all the buildings. And so it's not uncommon that there will be code violations, and that is part of the reason somebody wants to sell. So our client is very prudent, and they are, you know, they're not going to let a code violation sit. So they
Well,
will get it taken care of. But yeah, just keep in mind, we didn't build those buildings that there are violations for.
yeah, but you need to secure properties and board up windows. The house is sitting, windows open, infested with rats, full of trash. It's not elements of the existing building. It's a lack of proper management and the building being secured.
thank you. We have that's the final question, Miranda.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the chat, then we'll circle back to Nicole with with the hand raised. What's your estimated time for completion and construction? And when do you overall? What is the estimated completion of construction? Anticipating a city rezoning. So when do you expect to be at commission and council before you begin construction?
So we're expecting right now to have permitting by the first quarter of 2025 so that we can commence construction. As far as going to commission and council, we're hoping to go a little later this year, maybe the beginning of the fourth quarter or end of third quarter of this year.
And then when will it be done completely? You know, like roughly, you know, what are we talking at the end of 2026? Or just curious to know how long there'll be construction, all that wonderfulness going on.
We're probably looking at mid 2026 to end of 2026 for construction.
Okay.
There's a question from Elizabeth. Will the results of the neighborhood traffic study, will that be made available to the residents?
It will be public, and I think it's pretty easy to find on the city website, but we will also, I know we don't have everybody's email address, but we'll get it circulated. I'm sure Mark and Maureen are really not happy that I keep saying we'll get things to them so they can circulate to the group, but we'll find a way to make sure it gets to the
There is a
group.
city, there is a city website that's called ABC Build, and where you can find all the information for a project once it's been submitted to the city. So it's all public information. It's all out there. You just need to know how to look for it and where it is. This is from Julia. Not a question, but I don't know if it's fair to say that this is a project that works well for the area, given the concerns voiced over increased traffic and parking by people who live in the area. from Adam. Would you say that the architectural elevations provided on sheet 30 of 31 in the site plan application are no longer accurate? Those do give a good view of what will be proposed, what the proposed project might look like. And based on the elevations from Elizabeth, again, based on the elevation, that this is a good area for this project, as you've stated, does your client have an estimated sales price for these units once they go on the market?
So to answer Adam's question, I think that the architectural elevations provided on that sheet are probably going to be modified to an extent. Our clients were talking about making them a little bit more in line with the surrounding properties and a little more modern, and but that's more of a style. Generally, they will probably be similar. Uh, but no, those are not going to be exactly the same in all likelihood. And then for the sales price, I think we're a little far out for an estimated sales price. But I don't have that information right now. I can see where our clients are at in that process and see what their thoughts are and get more information to whoever is interested.
That would be great.
Thank you.
I think we're interested. Appreciate that.
Okay, and now Nicole, who has been virtually having her hand in the air, if you'd unmute and ask your question.
Yes, so I wanted to know if this is the same company that demoed the houses on, is it 1144 and then 3605 Abate Circle? I think that's part of the area, and there were 2 homes on there that were demoed.
I don't know.
Okay. Because I think it was
I'm pretty sure those homes were demoed before we purchased the property, but I can find that information out for sure. But I think
Okay.
the 2 homes you're talking about were demoed just before we purchased.
Okay, I think
There's
they
a-
were demoed after, because I knew the neighbors and I remember they had already sold it, but I'm not sure if someone bought it and then y'all bought it from them very soon after. But those were not demoed really with a tent, or you could tell there was not like proper asbestos abatement. So I'm not, if it is the same company, that would be good to know. Because then
Okay,
I would be worried.
understandable.
Thank you.
Can you confirm that these are intended to be market rate and for sale townhouse condos, and not, for instance, affordable units that may fit our neighborhood and be what the city needs, as you say? So, are these going to be market rate, or are they going to be so affordable in some regard?
Generally, these are going to be market rate. So it's
Okay.
not intended to be an affordable community, if that's the question.
Okay.
Yep, it was. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or any topics? I'm going to go down the list of people on the call and just ask them individually if they, have anything they'd like to add. And person I'm going to go to first is the audience. Do you have anything you would like to add or question to ask? If not, I go to Adam. Levette?
Yeah, sure. I just want to confirm with everybody, what is the next step in this process? Are y'all going before the Land Use Commission? And if so, when will that hearing be?
Maureen will go over all of that at the end of the meeting, if you can hold
Okay.
on.
Great.
Put a pin on that. We'll come back. We'll circle back to that. That's one of the last parts of the meeting. So
That's my
the
own
audience.
question. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. And who was that? Adam or audience?
That was Adam. Yep.
Okay. Elizabeth, do you have any other questions?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. Then the next person would be Jesse. You have anything you'd like to add, Jesse?
No, I'm good. I know these things aren't easy, but I appreciate giving us a voice here. And we will be impacted. So thank you.
Julia, do you have anything you would like to add or ask a question? Hearing none, I'll go to Miranda. Do you have any comments or questions you'd like to add that haven't been stated so far or asked
Yeah.
so far?
I just put one in the chat. I'm curious, you've talked a few times about the benefits of having this kind of different home offering in the neighborhood. Can you cite some of the specific benefits in your eyes of a complex like this where you have 3 or 8 different homes sharing walls as opposed to the duplex style homes that are already allowed in the neighborhood?
Sure. The different this offers a different like type of product that will be available at varying price points from a traditional duplex or triplex. It's more of a community with set standards. There will be a condominium regime that allows for um, a joint effort to keep common spaces uh, clean and maintained. It brings in a more diverse socioeconomic diversity to the neighborhood, different I guess different people in different stages of life, like younger families who may not be ready for a single family home or um, so those are some of the benefits. It generally is beneficial to have areas with different types of products, single family, duplex, townhomes, multifamily apartments, and this is bringing this townhome style row houses to this area.
That was Nicole, correct? Or was that Miranda?
Yeah, that was Miranda. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Nicole, do you have anything you would like to add or any questions that haven't been asked or stated so far? Any comments?
I don't. I just realized I was unmuted and I was crunching on some chips. So I apologize. I'm good for now. Thank you.
It is about dinner time, so we're all getting a little pecky. So I know I am. So the last person on my list is Mackenzie. If I mispronounced your name, Mackenzie Speich. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. I'm just here with Hush Blackwell as an agent for the applicant as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Maureen, do you want to put up the slide and go over what the next steps in the process are going to be? Make sure I didn't miss any questions.
Okay.
The only thing, well, she's doing that from Elizabeth. I don't know if the community of East Austin is in need of a condo regime at this time. So there's that comment. So what's next in the process, Maureen?
Okay. So what will happen next, I will meet with my team and report back to them the questions and concerns that we heard at the meeting. We'll look at the plan. We'll look at the Imagine Austin plan. We'll look at strategic housing blueprint and other documents, and we will make a recommendation on the proposed slum change. We'll pass that recommendation on to the zoning team. They will make their recommendation on the proposed zoning request. Once we finalize staff recommendation, we will schedule the meeting. We schedule the cases for planning commission meeting, and we don't know that date just yet. We don't schedule until we have a final staff recommendation, and sometimes with the zoning team, that takes a little bit longer because they process their cases in the order in which they are received. So it's hard to predict exactly when these cases will go to planning commission. When we do get to a planning commission date picked out, if y'all send me your emails and I have them on record, what I do is I can reach out to the planning contact team and you guys as well to let you know what date we're looking at and let you know what the deadline is if you wanted to have your questions or rather your comments included in the staff case reports that get submitted to planning commission. After planning commission, we will start looking at a city council date and again, we don't know what date that will be at this time.
Thank you, Maureen.
Okay.
Before we sign, okay, everyone putting their emails in the chat, making sure there's no questions, did I miss anything? Okay, so we got to add them. So if you'd like to be contacted via email, just put it in the chat and we'll have that as part of our record. So before we sign off today, well, Jesse, I'll make sure that people are just putting in their emails and not asking a question. So before we end the meeting, unless somebody has any questions or comments that haven't been made so far, Nikhil or Taylor, do you have any closing comments for the folks here at this meeting?
No, I appreciate all you guys joining and expressing your concerns, and we hope that we can move forward with this project and work together with you to get the most out of what everyone is wanting to see here. So thank you for your time, everyone.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo that. I like to thank everybody who took some time out of their lives to find out more about this project, to ask questions and make their comments and have their voices heard. I really appreciate that you took that time. So with that, I'd like to wish everyone a good evening and a good rest of your evening. And you'll be looking out for more stuff in the mail. So if you're within 500 feet of this track, you will receive notification for both the Planning Commission and the City Council, or if you're a listed contact in the community registry for an organization where whose boundaries fall within 500 feet, you will also be getting a notice of both of those two public hearings. With that, I'd like to end the meeting and start cooking dinner. So good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, Mark. Thank you.
Stop the recording, huh?